Okay.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We are going to be working on making this old and outdated and dark chair into something a little bit more modern. And many of you may have this type of fabric. It's kind of like a faux leather. And did you know that you could actually paint fabric? So I just wanted to let you know who I am. My name is Jenny Lynn, and I am the creator of Fusion Mineral Paint. And I find that one of the best ways to update something is with a little bit of paint. And the beauty of this is that it's got a built-in top coat and no VOCs, and it covers so incredibly well. So we're just gonna open it up. Now let's take a look at our fabric here. There's a couple little dings in it. It's obviously got a couple of cat scratches, but you know what? I can make it look pretty decent and new again. It's better than throwing it out in the garbage, that's for sure. So while I'm painting, I want to know, where is everyone watching from today?
Rio de Janeiro, I have.
Woo!
Hello.
I need to travel there. Never been there yet. I'm gonna dip. I'll show you how to dip the brush. You don't want to have too much paint on your brush. You don't want to use too much. So I like to dip it maybe 1/3 at the max, halfway up the brush. And I am using these beautiful Stahlmeister brushes. So these are from Europe, and we are actually going to be distributing them very, very soon. What I like about these brushes is that they're a beautiful mix of natural bristle and synthetic fiber. So that way you get a beautiful, smooth finish. Now, I didn't do anything to prep this chair except give it a little clean. You want to make sure there's no grease on there. Obviously, if you have something sitting on the fabric, something that was left behind, you're going to want to get rid of that. Now, all types of fabric can be painted, but some will have a better result than others. So this is kind of like that faux leather. It takes incredibly well. You can paint vinyl as well. And again, every fabric kind of takes a little bit differently. So if you have, canvas fabric, cotton, you can pretty much paint everything, but just understand it's always going to be a little bit of a different outcome for each one. There we go. Where is everyone watching from? We also have a giveaway happening today, and we have a question. What type of furniture would you paint in your house? Do you have an old chair that needs to be updated? What have you got going on? It's amazing how easy it is to use Fusion Mineral Paint. It glides on as smooth as butter. It's virtually brushstroke free, and the coverage is really, really stunning. This is just one coat of Algonquin, which is kind of like a medium taupe color. Really, really easy to work with again. All right, put that right there.
This is a brand new brush, and that's one thing we didn't do is prepare it, just to kind of give it a couple of bangs in your hand.
Yeah, every time you have a new brush, you should prep it. So you just kind of work the bristles back and forth to make sure that there's nothing loose that'll come out. And if it does, you just pull it out. But that's very common for new brushes. All right, check this out. Let's get a nice close-up. I want you to see how minimal to no brush strokes there are and the coverage that you're getting. So I don't have too much paint on my brush. Here's too much paint. This is when you've got too much paint. All right, look at that. Look at all those brush strokes. Oh my goodness, what's going on? Too much paint. But look over here. If you have just enough on, you won't get any brush strokes. Now, again, I didn't have to do anything to prep this type of fabric. So if you've got too much paint, you can actually just use it on the entire piece. Just spread it out, remove it. Sometimes I keep I'm gonna dab it in there. Sometimes I keep like a cloth or paper towel around so that I can get rid of any excess. But yeah, it just pulls through really nicely here. Super quick and easy to work with. Now this will last a long time. A lot of people say, oh, painting fabric, that sounds a little bit crazy. That's probably not gonna feel very nice. So every different type of fabric will feel a little bit different. This one will just feel like leather. That's all it's gonna be like. You don't need to put anything on top of it afterwards. Some people like to put a little bit of wax on there to soften it up, and you're more than welcome to do that if you want, but you certainly don't need to. If you're working with a fabric like this afterwards, it can go a little bit more hard, I guess, more rigid, because you are painting the fabric. But again, you can always add just a touch of wax, and it looks so
We have a couple of
Wow,
questions
yeah,
here.
questions. Awesome.
What brand of paint is it? So maybe just hold that up.
So we've got Fusion Mineral Paint. It's available all across North America, Europe, Australia, the UK, and it is a zero VOC paint. And look at how much I've used. I've barely gotten into any of this pint. And the pint sells for about $25. And you can actually paint several pieces of furniture with this. You could probably paint about 8 of these chairs with that. So I'll just do the side here.
And just to restate, do you need a top coat?
No, so it's got a built-in top coat, which is the beauty. One of the beauties of using Fusion Mineral Paint is it's all built in. There we go. And look at it, it covers so incredibly well. You know, most of the colors are 1 to 2 coat coverage, so you would never really need more than 2 coats. And it always depends on the base that you're covering. So when we're talking about fabric painting, I really enjoy painting fabric, and I thought, the first time I heard about painting fabric, I thought that was absolutely crazy, bonkers, who's gonna do that? But you know what? Instead of reupholstering something, and I don't know how to reupholster, so for me, that's very, very intimidating and also quite costly. Fabric is expensive, but for me to have to, you know, just paint something, it's quick and easy and it's inexpensive. So I really like that option. And it feels great and it lasts a very long time. I did a set of chairs 3 years ago that were destined, unfortunately, for the garbage, and I grabbed them because they were a beautiful MCM style and the wood was solid. So I knew, like, these chairs were probably about 40 years old, they were outdated looking, not very pretty, but I totally changed the look of them just by adding a touch of paint, and it made the world of difference. I was able to save them, and now 3 years later, they're still excellent. They are so, like, they're waterproof and they're so durable. But again, look at this coverage, just phenomenal. And it's just as smooth as can be. It'll feel as super soft afterwards, kind of like leather, which is great. Again, so if you're thinking of maybe throwing something out, why not try and give it another look with just a little bit of paint? And it's amazing, a little bit goes a long way. So again, this is Fusion Mineral Paint, and you can find it all over. If you visit us at fusionmineralpaint.com, you can see all of the retailers that we have. And the beauty of it is it goes on so smooth, it's virtually self-leveling, it's zero VOC, it covers almost totally in one coat, as you can see, and a little goes a long way. So this is painting sort of like a leather, and what we're gonna do is kind of just let that dry. And what I'm gonna do is pop over here and show you how to paint a different kind of fabric.
You could even customize this by putting a stencil on it after.
Yes.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think a really cute, it would look really French if you put a really nice detailed sort of Paris stencil on there. We have some really great stencils available to us as well from Margaritaville Studios. All right, let's look at this one.
Can you describe the fabric here?
Well, it's kind of like a canvas material almost. And it's kind of, you know, very porous, so the paint is really going to soak into this. I'm going to do just a little bit of detailing because it's kind of, I want it to look like a grain sack. And I thought, let's add some tape to it and make a bit of a grain sack design. So it's really simple. The grain sack design is one big piece in the middle and 2 smaller ones on the outside. So I'm going to take a little bit of tape and I'm going to eyeball this. We kind of loosely measured it before. But remember, like, a grain sack is a vintage piece, so it doesn't need to look absolutely perfect. And again, using tape, you can do so much with tape. So I don't need to do any prep to this fabric at all. Some people like to wet the fabric first. So this kind of fabric can be very porous, so it may soak up more of your paint. And you just have to be prepared that you're going to use a little bit more paint when you're working on a fabric like this. So again, super easy, just applying my tape down, trying to get it down nice and even there.
And I've seen a lot of these old French grain sacks. Can you tell me a little bit about the color?
So the colors, each color was specific to the type of grain that was in that grain sack. So we're gonna do blue, and I'm not 100% certain if the blue is for wheat. Lori, do you know which one it was
I don't
for?
know. I do believe different regions had different color coding systems, and I think the systems also designated the farmer. So I
cool
really don't know.
history. So much to know, so much to learn.
There's a question here about how the paint feels on the leather once it's dry.
So it actually kind of feels like leather itself. It's really super soft and smooth, which again, it's kind of mind-boggling because I don't understand how can paint be so soft, but because it is a 100% pure acrylic paint, it has that built-in top coat. It's very, very smooth, and it's just a really nice feeling after it. And it's amazing. It'll even turn this type of fabric. As you can see, I'm really struggling with this one piece of tape. This type of fabric also, it kind of turns it, makes it feel like leather. So there we go. I did it finally, I think, almost. Yay. There we go.
Well, I don't think they were perfectly straight on those grain sacks. So if it's a little bit,
we're doing our best. It's all DIY. It's
Yeah.
not always going to be 100% perfect. It's not coming out of a factory. I'm doing it by hand. So we have testers, and these testers go for about $5 a piece, and you would be shocked at what you can paint with a tester. Some people have painted an entire side table. You can do a chair with it, but this is going to be more than enough for me to work with. So I'm going to pour it into the lid, and I'm just going to use my stencil brush and work from there with it. So when you're stenciling, you can dab or you can swirl. You can kind of see, like, it covers really well, but it does soak in pretty quickly. So here is really saturated with paint, and here's just a little bit. Here it's almost like I'm dyeing the fabric with it. So it depends on how much you want to put on and how dark you want it to be and how intense. Really super easy. Where's everyone watching from? We are in Toronto. The weather here is rainy and gloomy and a little bit sad. How is the weather where you are today?
I know I went across, there was some people from California and Florida watching, so I'm pretty sure it's sunny down there.
Most likely.
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Beautiful.
Baltimore.
So again, we're using Fusion Mineral Paint.
Hi, South Carolina.
Woohoo! And Fusion Mineral Paint has a beautiful built-in top coat, which means that you don't need to add anything more onto it to protect it. Sometimes when you're doing fabric, when you paint the fabric afterwards, it feels a little bit harder. So when you've got a material like this and it's really going to soak up the paint, it may feel a little bit more rigid. So if you wanted to, you could take a little bit of our beautiful waxes that we have and just rub the wax over top, and it kind of softens it up and it feels like leather, which is beautiful. You don't have to use a stencil brush like I'm using, but I like using a stencil brush when I'm doing smaller detail work like this. Look at how quick it is though. Could you imagine, buying these chairs and really customizing them, giving them that farmhouse look for next to nothing, just a little bit of tape and a little bit of paint is all you need.
There was a question about, can you paint over patterns and not have them show through? And I was thinking, if it's just a colored pattern, yes, you can paint right over it. But if the pattern has some kind of texture, sort of an embossed pattern, you will still see that.
So you'll see that, but I've actually done quite a bit of that, and you still get a whole new look, and it's totally worth it. I totally encourage you. A lot of people that do like photography backdrops or sets, what they will do is they'll find an old vintage couch on Kijiji or at a reused store or something like that, and what they'll do is they'll use paint to completely transform the look of it, and for $50 for a couch and a little bit of paint, it's absolutely worth it. So again, what do you have to lose? If the fabric or the piece that you're getting that you want to do is something that you're going to get rid of, you really have absolutely nothing to lose. I'm feeling a little bit there. So this is going to be a little bit trickier. What I could have done is maybe put a board behind this to keep it a little bit more rigid. But again, it doesn't need to be perfect. There we go. I love using Fusion Mineral Paint because it is 0 VOC. So for indoors, I can't smell this paint at all. It's basically non-toxic, really nice to work with. And the coverage is outstanding. As you saw on that other piece that we did there, that was just one coat to cover over a super dark color with a medium sort of taupe color. And if you're using, say, a white, you would probably need about 2 coats or so, maybe 3, depending on how you apply it and what type of fabric it is. I always recommend for fabric using our concealer first. So say this fabric was like a black and I wanted to make it light, I would say use our concealer. The concealer is a recycled paint from our factory. We take all the pigments. Once we wash everything, we take those pigments, we reharvest them into what we call concealer. It's just a recycled paint because the fabric is going to want to soak in some paint. And if you're doing like a really large piece like a couch, yeah, you're going to want to maybe do a first coat. And the great thing about concealer is it's half the price of the paint. And the paint's already a really great deal, so it's just even better. We are almost done. So in terms of dry time, it should be pretty much dry to the touch within about 15 to 20 minutes.
But we could take the tape off to see what it looks like.
Yeah, we're gonna do a reveal here.
Just don't sit down on it.
Don't sit on it yet. You're gonna wanna use it gently. Let it, wait for 24 hours before you sit on it for sure. And if you think that it's a little bit rough in areas, you could do a little bit of sanding to just take any of the grain, not the grain, but the hairs and the fibers that have risen. You can sort of take that down just a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna take this off. I love this. I think this is going to be fabulous. This color I'm using is Homestead Blue, one of my absolute favorites. Been a fan for a long time of Homestead Blue. It's actually the name of our parent company, Homestead House Paint Company. All right, so we'll do the little reveal. Da, da, da.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Actually, the tan and the blue look so well together.
It's kind of like your classic grain sack look. And again, just a little bit of tape, and it took me, what, 5, 6, 7 minutes to do this whole piece, and it didn't bleed anywhere. You saw how much paint I used. I maybe used like a fraction of a tester, and you get a whole new look, a very customized look. And I'm excited to do, I have a partner chair to this, so I'm excited to do this one. There we go. And that is how you create a beautiful grain sack fabric customized using the Fusion Mineral Paint in Homestead Blue and a little bit of tape. And again, if it's raised at all, if you go to touch it, it's actually very smooth right now. I can't even feel it. It's pretty much dry to the touch now. And again, it'll wear really well. So a lot of people say, well, if I do some cushion covers, can I wash it? Yes, you can wash it. I mean, I've got it on my clothes before, not wanting to get it on my clothes, and I can't get it out. So it's exceptionally durable. It's going to last a very, very long time. So whether you're painting a fabric like this that's very porous, or you've got an old sort of leather chair that you want to just revive, I definitely encourage you to give it a try, give it a chance. I was very skeptical at the beginning. You know what? What's the worst that can happen if you don't want the chair and you don't love the style of it now? Try a little bit of paint, see how it turns out for you, and you're probably going to end up falling in love with it. You can save it from the waste facilities, and you can reuse it and upcycle. So try a little bit of Fusion paint, Fusion Mineral Paint, and hope you love it. Do we have a winner? We've got that question of what piece of furniture would you paint in your house? We're hoping to have a winner here.
Okay, yes, we do have a winner. Her
Awesome.
name is Stephanie Gibson, and she's going to be painting her headboard.
Woohoo! The headboards are awesome. There's so many different things you can do with the headboards, and putting some wax on it with some detailing and some distressing, really cool and fun. So again, this was using the Fusion Mineral Paint, and we used our beautiful Stahlmeister brush. And these brushes will be available pretty soon in North America through us, and I cannot wait to see you guys next week at the next home talk that we are doing. Be sure to subscribe so you can see the next one that's coming up in just a couple of hours. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.